Hello and welcome back to Women's Football Talk, the YouTube channel that brings you all the latest news and stories from around the world of women's football. And we are finally here. The final weekend of the WSL is here, and there is obviously still all to be decided in terms of a title race and relegation. As well as that, we will look at the other leagues taking place this weekend as we edge towards the end of the regular season, and then obviously next week we will look into the Champions League final. So let's start off with the WSL, and at the top of the table it is still all to play for the title. We have Reading versus Chelsea. Now that game has stipulations at both ends of the table. Obviously Chelsea can win the title for their fourth consecutive time, whilst Reading are trying to fight off any relegation hopes. If you look back at the first game between these two, it was a 3-2 Chelsea win. Chelsea dominated the first half and scoring those 3 goals, and then in the second half you saw Reading get much better into the game and scoring those 2 goals in the second half. And it was probably one of Reading's best performances of the season. Obviously you don't like losing, but that performance they put in was absolutely fantastic. However, the main concern for Reading is how long it has been since they've picked up a point in the WSL. Haven't picked up a point since late March, whilst Chelsea haven't dropped points since then. So that is not going to be in the best of steads for Reading, hoping to fight off relegation, and obviously Chelsea trying to drop points for Manchester United to potentially win the league. So that's one thing you've got to consider in terms of the title race. The other thing is Manchester United. They are facing Liverpool away. In the first meeting between those two sides earlier on this season, Manchester United absolutely thumped Liverpool, and it was a convincing win by Mark Skinner's side, and yet they know a victory and a Chelsea defeat would crown them WSL champions for the very first time. There is ways that they could Chelsea could draw and Man United could win, and they'd end up on the same points. It would then come down to goal difference, and at this minute in time it favours Chelsea by 5 goal difference. Chelsea on plus 48, Manchester United on plus 43, so there is that small margin of goal difference that could come into question when it comes down to if Chelsea were to draw and Manchester United win. Anything else other than a Manchester United win and Chelsea would be crowned champions in that instance. Also fighting at the relegation is Leicester City. They are facing Brighton and Hove Albion, who are safe, and a win for Leicester would guarantee that Reading would go down. Even a point, if Reading were to beat Chelsea and Leicester were to draw, it would then come down to goal difference. Again, they would both end up being on 14 points. Leicester's current goal difference is minus 34, whilst Reading's is minus 31, so there is that all to play for. Final Champions League spot is all but confirmed that it will be Arsenal, unless Man City have a drastic goal swing. Arsenal, they face Aston Villa at Meadow Park, whilst Manchester City host Everton. And then the other game we have this weekend sees West Ham United take on Tottenham Hotspurs. So we'll be keeping you fully updated. If you follow us on Twitter at WF Talks, we'll have updates from the 2 title race games, and obviously keeping an eye on all the action elsewhere in the WSL this weekend. Obviously we're coming towards the end of the season, and teams are starting to release players that won't be at their clubs next season. If you want a full breakdown of that, make sure again you check out our Twitter and Instagram page, and check out our website WF Talks, where we'll have a full breakdown of the summer transfers, including those players that get released, not just from WSL teams but from teams all across the European leagues, and some of the worldwide transfers when we get them. Heading over to Germany next, and it is coming right down to the final day on Sunday for the title. Bayern Munich, they face Turbine Potsdam at home, whilst Wolfsburg face SC Freiburg at home. Winner of Bayern Munich, they will be crowned champions. A draw again should be enough, could be enough if Wolfsburg were to lose. However, if Bayern were to draw and Wolfsburg were to win, then Wolfsburg would be champions, because they have a much better goal difference than Bayern Munich. Their goal difference is plus 57, whilst Bayern Munich's is plus 49. So obviously Bayern Munich will be hoping that they don't drop points. Elsewhere, obviously, Eintracht Frankfurt took third place and will be playing in the Champions League next season, and then that second relegation place down at the bottom. Obviously, Turbine Potsdam were relegated earlier on in the season, but between Meppen, Duisburg and Cologne will be fighting it right out until the end for excuse me, that final relegation spot. So all eyes will be on the Frauen Bundesliga on Sunday afternoon UK time at 1 o'clock. So that's going to be a very, very interesting watch to see what occurs there. In Italy as well, we have a final set of games this weekend. We have Sassuolo versus Como, Pomigliano versus Sampdoria, Inter Milan versus AC Milan, and Juventus versus Roma. Obviously, the title is decided in Italy, and as we saw, Roma lift the trophy last season, but it's now just about finishing off the games this weekend and placings for all the teams, because Fiorentina and AC Milan and Inter Milan can all swap places, as well as Pomigliano and Sampdoria can swap places. Obviously, that is still to be decided this weekend. And then finally over into France. Again, the season comes to an end this weekend. All games taking place on Saturday evening about 4:30. So after all the WSL games, League champions Lyon, they play host to Stade Rennes. PSG are away to Soyo Charente. Elsewhere, you got Le Havre versus Bordeaux, Paris FC versus Rodez, Montpellier versus Dijon, and Fleury 91 versus Guingamp. The only bit of news coming out of France this past couple of days is regards to Lyon's Delphine Cascarino, who has suffered a small ACL injury. It's not as fully as bad as most ACL injuries from what I read in the statement. However, she is expected to be out for a couple of months and will miss this summer's World Cup. So we're wishing Cascarino a full recovery, and hopefully she can make it back and be back to her fantastic self that she is. But that is it for this week. Let us know in the comments who you think will win the WSL title, who will go down in the WSL, and who will win the Frauen Bundesliga title this season. In the meantime, like I said at the start, make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the post notification bell so you never miss a video of ours, and that you're following us on Twitter and on Instagram for the latest news and stories as and when it comes out. In the meantime, we'll see you soon.